Hi inventors! I'm Lily, the twirling tech goddess. I'm black, I dance, I'm queer, and I'm an engineer. Welcome to the TWIRCH Shop, a show that explicitly encourages radical diversity and inclusion by making the process of learning tech more fun, accessible, and relatable to people underrepresented in STEM. Each week you'll come along with me as I create something fabulous using cutting-edge tools and technologies. Then I'll put it through my patented twirl test to make sure that it's stage ready. That's right, we twirl with our tech, because you know what they say, the family that slays together increases their socioeconomic status together. On this episode, we're coming to you live from Building 61, Boulder Library's Makerspace. And today we're gonna be doing our first cosplay, kinda. Basically using cosplay as an excuse to introduce you to the soldering iron. This is a tool we're gonna be using a lot in this show on various projects, and it can be relatively dangerous. So I thought it'd be a good idea to let her have her own episode, a whole day to herself. First of all, let's tackle this spelling versus pronunciation situation. It's pronounced soldering, though it's spelled with a hard singular L. Honey, in my few years on this planet, I haven't heard that very much in the English language or any other language that I've had experience with, so my natural instinct is to pronounce the L. What other languages do I speak, you ask? Well, ich spreche ein bisschen auf Deutsch y yo hablo un poquito de español. Et je parle un petit peu en français, ouais? Comment below if you know of other words with a singular L that is silent, because I can't think of none. Y'all like my poncho caftan moments? I inherited this fashion from my Aunt Tatsi. May she rest in peace. Love you, TT. My grandma and her used to make their own matching outfits, and honey, they was sharp. I guess it's in my genes. Shout out to my grandmama and my Aunt Tassie. Love y'all. Now, you may be wondering how I drew the connection from the soldering iron to cosplay, and for that, we'll need a little backstory. So, as someone who is obsessed with costumery and fashion and headpieces and DIY anything and leotards and Storm from X-Men. Storm! I wanted to be her growing up. I mean, I still want to be her. I had all of her collectible cards. I'll probably do a Storm cosplay on a future episode. We stand the original African princess. I was so obsessed. I used to practice jumping off my bed and landing silently, like she did in the cartoon. She was the only superhero character I ever remember watching on TV growing up that I could see myself in. It was her and LeVar Burton. Oh my God. Shout out to LeVar Burton. I would die if you watched my show, Butterfly in the Sky, and we're in a library. I wouldn't die, I would live. Anyway, needless to say, I'm really into cosplay, though I don't cosplay a lot myself, but I watch a lot of creators on YouTube who make content around creating these types of characters, specifically when it comes to implementing technologies in the costumes. So when I was thinking of places I've seen the soldering iron being used, one such creative came to mind. Svetlana over at Kamui Cosplay. Turns out some of the dankest cosplay I have ever seen with some help from her husband, Benny. I've had my mind blown on a few occasions from watching their content. Shout out to Svetlana and Benny. We stand. One of the moments that I've seen them use a soldering iron was to put extra detail on these teeth for some armor from a costume they made entirely out of EVA foam, AKA Cos foam. It was an exact replica of a video game character. I don't remember what it was, but it was so sickening. I was kind of like, ain't no way in hell I'm about to do all that. But also, I'm really trying to create my own designs just to stretch the bounds of my own creativity. So I was like, self, where can I draw some inspiration for something that was similar to these teeth or nails, but I could demonstrate creating this type of detail using the soldering iron. And that's when inspiration struck me. Bam! Let's do a dinosaur. Then it hit me again. Bam, bam! V-icon herself, local legend, Evie Oddly done a cute dinosaur look on her season of RuPaul's Drag Race. My favorite part of that look was the cute little dinosaur feet on the tips of her high heels. And if you know me, you know I love a good shoe, bitch. Comment below if you're like me and have a penchant for shoe wear, and if English isn't your first language, drop a comment in your native tongue. And since we haven't given you a shoe creation yet, I immediately thought that would be the best place to start for a dinosaur cosplay, working from the bottom up. And I could use the soldering iron to bring more detail to the toenails on the shoe. But of course, for the final look, we're gonna try to give you a full Jurassic Park dinosaur effect. Comment below what your favorite dinosaur is. Side note, remember Denver, the last dinosaur? Denver, the last dinosaur. He's our friend and so much more. So I have a bunch of foam and a lot of references to pull from to try to create this dinosaur effect. So let's get started. Materials. So what the fuck is a soldering iron? A soldering iron is a hand tool used in soldering. It supplies heat to melt solder so that it can flow into the joint between two work pieces. A soldering iron is composed of a heated metal tip, insulated handle, and the heating is often achieved electrically by passing an electrical current supplied through an electrical cord or battery cables through a reserve heating element. Cordless irons can be heated by combustion of gas stored in a small tank, often using a catalytic heater rather than a flame. Simple irons, less commonly used today than in the past, were simply a large copper bit on a handle heated in a flame, similar to a stove cone. This solder melts at approximately 185 degrees Celsius, about 365 degrees Fahrenheit. Soldering irons are designed to reach a temperature range of 200 degrees Celsius to 480 degrees Celsius. That's about 392 to 896 degrees Fahrenheit. Soldering irons are most often used for installation repairs and limited production work in electronics assembly. High volume production lines use other soldering methods. Large irons may be used for soldering joints in sheet metal objects. Less common uses include pyrography, also known as burning designs into wood, and plastic welding. In 1894, the American Electrical Heater Company began manufacturing electrical soldering irons on a large scale in Detroit, Michigan. For this project, I'm gonna be using this one that I got for $21. It comes with its own stand, different tips, and all kind of odds and ends that you might need. The link is in the description. Hold up, can we talk about how cool EVA foam is though? Ethylene vinyl acetate. This stuff is used in shoe insoles, Pilates mats, foam packaging, yoga blocks, those swimming kickboards that you hold on to so you don't drown in the lap pool. Super cute stuff. Should we dive deeper into EVA foam? No, not today. You right. My grandma was a fashionista and a DJ. Essentials! To turn this pile of foam into a dinosaur, we're gonna need a couple of things. Our essentials. Of course, we're gonna need our EVA foam and our soldering iron. We're also gonna need our varying types of adhesive. From rubber cement to spray adhesive to hot glue to E6000, I brought it all. You'll also need an X-Acto knife and a cutting mat. We're also gonna need a heat gun and a Dremel with a sanding bit for smoothing edges. Both of these are just things I've seen Kamui Cosplay use on her projects. I've also gotten this primer that she suggests using to go on top of the foam so that it can be painted later. Lastly, we are going to use a pair of beat up shoes that need improving upon. You should be able to slip them onto your feet relatively easily. If they're like mine, they're probably really old, used, and from a person you don't f with no more. You know who you are. You get no ads from me. For my costume, I'll build my shoe around the zipper here that comes with it. I want the zipper to still be active and functional to get in and out of my shoe. Now let's talk assembly. So my strategy is going to be to cut wide strips that can go all the way around the shoe to the zipper. Hot glue those into place. Then I'm gonna use the heat gun to basically shrink wrap those pieces into place, into a better shape around the shoe. The heat gun causes the EVA foam to shrink a bit, and so it makes it more moldable. Then we're going to go back on top with reptile scales and toenails, etc., etc. I found this cool stuff called foam clay that is basically EVA foam that can be molded into any shape. So I'm thinking I might just use this for the toenails since it'll allow me to make them more precise. This takes a little bit longer to dry, but it does dry like solid foam. Pretty nifty stuff. Then we're probably gonna go over the scales and smooth them out with the Dremel sander. Then cover the whole thing with this primer. Then we'll try to give it a semi-realistic paint job. I'll be linking down below anything that I haven't gotten secondhand. So let's fucking go! So when we're thinking about design, I can remember so many types of dinosaurs growing up that I was obsessed with and imagining the different colors of their skin, the length of their horns, spikes, etc. I encourage you to use your imagination to come up with your own versions of this project, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Please tag me in your creations, remembering always that creativity is the essence of innovation. Now, a wearable isn't useful to me unless it can survive a mass extinction. So I'm gonna go get dressed, and I'll see you in the prehistoric. Like, share, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications before I eat you. And remember, study the past if you would define the future. This program was made possible with the generous financial support of the Boulder Library Foundation. To learn more and find out how you can get involved and help fund future library programs, visit boulderlibraryfoundation.org today.